Hello, I'm going to do the Capricorn energy reading for March 9th. As always, take what resonates, leave what does not. We're going to look at what you may be struggling with, advice from the tarot. The cards just want to come out here. So let's grab these. And possible future energies. So we have the Hangman. We have the World, and we have the Four of Swords. All right, so I feel like you have big dreams. I feel like you have big goals, but I feel like you're having trouble making them happen, or that they're not working the way that you want them to. And you're having trouble with this Hangman energy, which is seeing things from a different perspective and seeing that sometimes when we have goals that it doesn't happen the way that we want them to happen, that it kind of happens the way the universe wants them to happen. So, and then we start to get frustrated with that. I feel like the reason why I say I feel you have big goals is because we have the Knight, which is kind of, I feel like he or she is dreaming big, right? Has these big goals, has these big aspirations. And also with the World card next to it, I feel like, you know, that's kind of your world, that's your goal, that's your something that represents success for you. And I feel like you're kind of, because the Knight is laying down, I feel like you've kind of given up on something. But I feel like maybe there's a different route that you have to go to achieve your goal. Let's grab some more tarot here. Sometimes we kind of get focused and think that there's only one way to make things happen. And let's see. It's kind of strange with the cards there today. But there's other ways to make things happen, other point of views. We have the King of Swords, we have the Eight of Pentacles, and we have the Sun card. So we have those three cards coming out there. So I feel like it's taking a closer look with that Eight of Pentacles and figuring out, especially with the King of Swords being below the Hanging Man, is sometimes it's good to talk through with someone else, because sometimes the other person can have a different perspective on how to help you out or how to make things happen. I feel like you have to take a closer look at something, and you're having trouble kind of looking at the fine details. Maybe you're kind of looking at everything as the big picture, which can be a good thing, but sometimes that can be overwhelming. So maybe it's time to kind of break things down into smaller pieces and smaller bits. I also feel like maybe you're trying to accomplish too much at one time, and that when you break it down and you have smaller goals, then you feel like you're succeeding. If you have smaller things that you can, you know, everybody works different. And it feels good that when you're able to check something off a list, or you're able to say, okay, good, like I got that done, then that, for me, that motivates me. It's almost like self-motivational goals for me, because if I have a whole bunch of things to do, like sometimes like I'll have a lot of videos to do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know if I can get all of these done, or, you know, that's a lot to do. And I'll look at the big picture and it's kind of overwhelming. But if I just break it down and I'm like, okay, I got one done. And then I literally have, I put a check mark next to it because I have a whole schedule of what it is that I do. And so it feels good. I'm like, okay, I got one done. So that was kind of like a pat on the back to myself. And I'm like, okay, let's do the next one. Or if it's, you know, whatever it is that this is relating for you, is that you have this big picture thing that you want to do. And maybe it would be easier if you break it down. And so that way you're able to say, okay, I've accomplished this, I've made that, you know. And it's kind of like, for some reason, I'm thinking about making a cake. and that there's a lot of ingredients that go into it. And sometimes it's like, wow, I have to, put all these things together, but it's just like, okay, let me just add one at a time, and check it off. So I kind of feel like that's kind of with this, because I feel like you're having trouble kind of seeing things. It's almost like this King of Swords is looking at this Eight of Pentacles, and it's like, if you look at it, if you take a closer look at how can you break things down and make things easier for yourself, that it would make you happier. But I feel like you're having trouble with that. Like you're kind of stuck in one way of thinking. So let's look at the advice from the tarot. Let's see, we have the Ace of Cups. That's what I was just talking about, how if you have those little things that you can check off that makes you feel better, that makes you feel motivated, so the whole thing doesn't seem as overwhelming, that may be the way to go. And with that Ace of Cups, I feel like it's about representing like having your cup overflow and feeling good emotionally and kind of picking yourself up. So maybe you kind of feel with this Four of Swords here, is you feel kind of down, you feel frustrated, you're like, I'm trying and trying to do things, but you're not really looking at different ways to approach it. And so you feel frustrated and you want to give up. And that definitely happens. Sometimes, that can happen, and it makes everything else going on in your life around you more difficult. And the simplest tasks become difficult. We have the Moon card, which also can represent Pisces. So it could also represent that maybe you have a relationship with a Pisces that can be really helpful for you in this situation, that can help you to figure things out. But I also feel like it's clarity. For some reason I'm thinking clarity, even though the moon doesn't represent clarity, but I feel like that's what you're struggling with, is that you're not really seeing the big picture, or like you're not really seeing different ways to make things happen. We have the Three of Wands, and we have the Fool, which is on the sail up there, and it's looking towards that it may be different than what you're thinking it was going to be. Sometimes we can't always see, we can't see where we're going. We can't see into the future. We can try and guide ourselves there, and we can kind of try and make those decisions for us that are best for us. And we can't always see that, but I feel like it's making the best choices and decisions that you can to help you get to where your goals are, to help you to get to where you want to be. And that you can't see that, but you kind of, sometimes you can feel and know that you're on the right path and that you're making the right decisions. Let's get some more tarot here. Oh, we have Nine of Pentacles. So the rewards for your hard work. I feel, again, like I was saying before, is about doing those things that you feel can be rewarding for yourself. Like when I said, when I check something off the list, that if I have a long list of things to do, especially like, around the holidays when you have family coming over and you have all of these things that you need to do, like you have to clean the kitchen, or you have to cook, and you have to make meals, and you have to clean the bathrooms, and you have to straighten up the bedrooms, and you have to vacuum, and all of these things that you have to do, that it can become overwhelming. But when you make a list, which is what I do, and you're able to check each one off, that you feel better. Like you feel like you're actually accomplishing something, that you feel that, okay, I know I have a lot to do. Or, even with your goals, if it's something, changing a new career, or it's doing a different job, and you're like, how is that even going to happen? Or you have to move. It's like, okay, let me just break this down into smaller bits and see what can I work on, what can I focus on, and feel like I always, like I've said many times before, knowledge is power. And the more you know about a situation and the more information you have, the more powerful you will feel and become. And we have the Three of Cups. So I feel like it's celebrations. I feel like it's surrounding yourself with those people that are supportive for you, because they help to motivate you. Maybe there's people around you, or a person around you, that is kind of making you feel like that Four of Swords, where you just kind of want to lay down and you want to give up, and you don't want to, that person's not helping to motivate you, granted, you have to find that within yourself, but you like to have people around you that are going to support you and that are going to motivate you and are going to help you reach your goals. And when you're around, I also feel like it's the community that you have, that if you're trying to accomplish or do something, is to be in that community that motivates you and that helps to push you and helps to drive you. So it could also be the people that you have. Maybe that's what you're taking a closer look at, is the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Are they really there to support you? Are they helping to motivate you? Are they helping to push you forward? Or do you feel like they're kind of holding you back because they want you to stay back because they feel they're being held back? Oh, and then we have the Nine of Cups. Look at that. I like these cards here. The Nine of Pentacles. We have the Three of Cups. And then we have the Nine of Cups. And nines can represent closing a chapter, ending a cycle, and things coming to an end. And maybe that's what's happening here too, is because it's not working the way that you thought it was going to work, is because you have to see that this is the end of a cycle and that there's a new way for you to start handling things. There's a new way for you to start looking at things. There's a new way for you to start dealing with things. There may be some new chapters that you're opening up. Like I said, with this Three of Wands here, with this Fool, that maybe there's a different direction that you need to go in. Sometimes we think, okay, this is the path that I need to follow and this is what needs to happen. But it's like the universe decides that's not going to happen. So I would definitely say that about me. Like, I definitely did not think that where I am in my life is what my life was going to be looking like when I was in my 20s. That's for sure. But I'm really happy where I am, and I really have had a lot of personal growth. And I feel like the universe maybe wanted me to go on that path of having that personal growth and that independence and that strength within myself, and that I had to take the path that I did in order to get to this point. So sometimes it's like it's not quite what we were thinking, but it's different paths that we're taking, but they're still very rewarding. Let's look at the energies to come in. Yep, personal growth. That's exactly what I was talking about. I love it when the cards come out when something that I'm referring to. So a lot of personal growth. That's what you're learning about yourself. Also, I feel like when something doesn't go the way that you thought it was, when we get negative and we get angry and we get frustrated, yes, we have to go through that process. But I also feel that we also make it harder on ourselves. And if we can just accept, okay, this is how it is, this is what's going on, this is where we are in this moment, right? This is what's going on right now. And how can I make the best of this? How can I make the best of the situation? Because if I'm working against it, it just makes the whole situation so much harder. We have the Knight of Cups. And then we have the Page of Cups. And let's grab one more. We have the King of Wands. I feel like it's a big learning situation for you. I feel like you learn a lot from this. I feel like you kind of have a different perspective about things. And that's a good thing. Sometimes we have to kind of get to the point where we're almost pushed that, or things just don't work out. And it's like, okay, instead of seeing that this is happening to me, this is happening for me to show me something else. I mean, definitely, because the advice from the tarot, right, that's this right here, and this is beautiful energy. And it's like, I just feel like it's, like I said, with the nines, it's closing a chapter, but it's starting something new and realizing where one door is closing, another door is opening. And not seeing it as new opportunities and a new direction. Yeah, it's hard when you're going through it. It's hard when things are changed and they're not working the way that you want them to. And it's hard to accept that. But if you're able to accept it and work through it, it just makes the process so much easier. And you're able to learn a lot more from it, right? That if you're not, kind of digging your heels in and saying, I'm not going to go with it, that there could be things that you could learn, or that opportunities that could come in for you that you didn't even realize that could lead you to something else, which, you know, we have this beautiful Ace of Cups and this Nine of Cups here. You never know what life is going to bring you. And it's almost like it's easier to just go with the flow and say, okay, this is what it is. How can I make the best of it right now? We have the King of Pentacles, and I feel he represents somebody who is determined. He is patient. Just the way he's sitting there, and he's kind of relaxed, right? He has his legs crossed, and he's just kind of patient, and he's like not worrying about anything. He's not stressing about anything. He knows that everything's going to work out. He knows that things are going to happen for the best, and to make the best of the current situation. We have the Queen of Cups, which is your emotions and your feelings. And I feel like you're feeling better because we have the Knight of Cups, we have the Page of Cups, and we have the Queen of Cups. And I just feel like you just feel so much better when you just go with the flow and you say, okay, this is what it is. You just have this weight, and it's like, okay, how can I deal with this the best way that I can? And then we have the Nine of Swords, not worrying about things, not putting on. The Nine of Stress is the Nine of Stress. Maybe that's what it should be called, is the Nine of Stress. The Nine of Swords is that you're worrying or you're stressing about something that you can't control, or that you really, when you worry and you stress about things, that it doesn't help the situation, it just works against yourself. So that may be something to be aware of in this future energies, is kind of realizing that, yeah, worry and stress is a part of life, and that means that you care about something or you're concerned about something, but it also can get to the point where it can start hindering you with things. And I feel like it's just kind of being aware of that. I feel like it was kind of like a little warning, or a little, being aware of that, and saying, kind of realizing that being in that energy doesn't help a situation. I mean, sometimes you can't help the way that you feel, but how can you minimize that the best way possible, so that it doesn't start taking over and becoming all that you focus on. Let's grab a animal oracle. Oh, we have Canary Spirit, sing your own song. I love that, because I feel like it's going down your own path. Maybe over here that you're trying to please other people, or you're trying to do what other people want you to do, like you're trying to sometimes people want us to take the path that they feel is best for us, but we have to take the path that we feel is best for us. And it's singing your own song, going your own path, going your own way, and that's okay. That's all right. If you feel differently about something, or you want to try something, or you want to do something, or you want to, not do something, that it's okay. That if you feel that that's what's right for you, then that's what you have to follow, and that's what you have to go with. And that gives you a huge sense of freedom within yourself, saying, you know what? I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, and I'm not going to worry about what other people have to say or think. That I feel that this is the right path for me, and this is the right choice for me. And I have to trust myself, and I have to follow that path, and it's going to turn out the way that it's going to turn out. And I'll see who's there to support me. I'll see who's there to cheer me on, and I'll see who walks away and tells me I told you so, and is not really supportive. Let's see, we have Star Dragon's vision, contemplating the future. Definitely, because I feel like this goes back to the Three of Wands there, where it's like contemplating the future, and what does that look like? And that may be different, something different than what I was thinking, but it's still, it's singing my own song, and it's doing it the way I want to do it, right? That's the best way. Let's grab a Lenormand. So we have the park, and then we have that beautiful park there, and the atrium, and the steps leading up to it. And I kind of feel like it's the steps that you take, right? How I was saying is breaking it down into smaller steps and smaller pieces and smaller bits. And that's what you need to do, and just realize that it's kind of one step at a time, right? To reach the top, it's one step at a time, and that's kind of where you are right now. And maybe this is the first step, is you know, changing directions or seeing, okay, what really makes me happy, and to reassess things. Let's grab a Oracle Tarot. We have third eye chakra, and the third eye chakra is that insight. It's that intuition. It's what do you feel inside, right? That if you want to sing your song, you know, what does that represent to you with that canary spirit? It's like, what does singing your own song represent to you? Like your own path and your own direction, your world that you want to create, right? What does that look to you? How does that feel to you? And just listening to that intuition that you have that says, okay, this is the path that I need to go on. These are the things that I need to do, and start listening to that. Once you start to do that a little bit at a time, then it starts to build up, and it starts to, like, it's like you become more in tune to it, and then it just kind of happens more naturally, and you're not like fighting against yourself, and you're like, well, this is what I'm feeling, so this is what I'm going to go with, and this is what I'm going to do. Let's grab a wisdom of the Oracle. I feel like this one. We have imagine. I love that one. Imagine. Imagine. I feel that, again, goes with singing your own song and the canary spirit. Like imagining, and the world. I kind of feel like those all, and the sun, like what makes you happy? You know, what makes you excited? Imagine your world, and now you just have to create your world. Right? It seems simple, but sometimes I feel like we make things more difficult than they need to be. Let's close out with a angel answers. We have unlikely. I feel like this one's coming out a lot. It's unlikely you're going to reach your goals if you're always listening to what other people have to say and you're always trying to please other people. It's unlikely that's going to happen if you're always in that Nine of Swords energy and you're stressing about what other people are going to think. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to sing your own song if you're always trying to please everybody else. You know, I mean, I'm kind of learning that too, because I'm a big time people pleaser. So, but it's like you definitely spend so much time trying to please those people, but they never seem to be happy. So it's just like pleasing yourself first, right? That it's unlikely to happen if you're always worried about what other people are thinking or saying. But the most important thing, the most important person that you need to worry about what they think and what they feel is yourself. And that's what you really have to realize here. And when you start making those choices and decisions for yourself, and you're making yourself happy, and you're in your Nine of Cups, right? That you're feeling happy and you're in your Nine of Cups, then you start building that community around you that sees that you're happy. And it may be a new community than what you had before. And it may be a new community, but it's a community that fits you exactly the way that you are, because you're singing your own song and you're doing things the way that you want to do. And maybe it's time to change that community up, right? Because there's nothing better than when you have your Nine of Cups and you're feeling that emotional fulfillment within yourself, and you're feeling happy, and then you have people around you that support you for that and embrace you for that. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. As always, stay positive, stay safe, and I will see you next time.